I don't know if... Well, here's the thing. Telkos is not a guy of many words. Do we really want him trying to pull off a speech?
No.
I don't want to see that.
Right, yeah, no. I think a dance is a better thing for him to pull off.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Yeah. And a pledge seemed like something he could do well.
I mean, can we?
Because he would be very earnest.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Like when he's in, he's in. That's it. You know, he's yeah. I feel like okay. I'm trying to see this in my head, and I'm kind of seeing rings of dancing people. Okay. Which is this is a very old wedding thing.
Yeah, a circle dance. Yeah.
And I can't decide in my head whether I'm thinking of concentric rings or two separate rings, and then kind of between them you see, you know, like Nessa and Tulkas are doing their dance thing. If Manway's going to say anything, do we stop the dance for him to say it, or does it continue?
I guess it depends what he's saying. Because I kind of, other than calling on Iluvatar's name to make a pledge, I can't really figure out what else the Valar need to do or say to make a marriage real.
Right. Like, do we need to say, do you take this woman to have and to hold? Yeah, no. I mean, clearly we want to avoid the exact wording of the standard wedding vows.
Right. So it has to be something more of... I mean, officiants usually say things like, thank you all for being here today. You know, like, dearly beloved, we are gathered here today. No, okay, sorry. That was actually...
Marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today.
Yeah. The third Pirates of the Caribbean has a pirate wedding for Will and Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And they're dancing for part of it. Well, it's not. They're not dancing. They're fighting. They're
trying not to die. Yeah,
they are, but it's very choreographed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, clearly.
Yeah. So they are dancing, just with swords.
Mm-hmm. So like that was a random officiant, people dancing, make their pledge to each other, wedding done. Like that's the most informal wedding I've ever seen on a film. Yeah. And it's the closest to what we're trying to do here. I feel like that is kind of what we're going for, and I think that, you know, basically most of what Manway should say is, you know, basically, do you pledge yourself to this person? Do you pledge yourself to this person? All right, I call. You know, I call. Or should we just say, please speak your pledges to everyone? You know, in the sight of all these witnesses, please speak your pledges to each other, and then just lets them say it. Like he shouldn't have to like have a back and forth with them as official, right? Like they should be able to just marry each other. If it were anybody else other than Tulkas, I think he's got this one. Yeah, you think he can manage to write his own vows? Yeah, because I think it's a very simple vow. Like we'll be with each other till the end of Arda, and yeah. I like that because, you know, it can say something to the effect of, you know, just as we have bound ourselves to Arda, we bind ourselves to each other. Blah blah blah. Blah. You know, and I like that. Yeah, with Iluvatar as our witness. Yes. Today we make this pledge. Yeah, something. Okay. I mean, yeah. It doesn't have to be a very complex vow, I guess is what I'm saying. It doesn't have to have itemized what you're going to do for each other. Yeah. Like that, to have and to hold stuff. Like, we don't need any of that because they're Valar. In sickness and in health, for richer, for poorer, that's not an issue for the Valar, even a little bit. Right. Completely irrelevant. Yes. And should there be any mention of the fact that they love each other? Yeah. Okay. So there's still that's the center of this anyway. You know, I know, but without that, there's like
Like what? There's nothing else. They got.
Just asking. Okay. So now that you've made fun of me for thinking that love was maybe potentially not part of marriage for the Valar, fair enough. I deserve that one. I was more talking about whether or not they would say something about that.
No, I think they would. I think they would.
Especially would be love.
I feel that Tulkas loves as ardently as he does everything else that he does. You know, so there's a 0% chance that he doesn't say it.
Okay.
You know,
I think that sounds good.
Okay.
All right. So they have their moment, and maybe the dancing resumes, and that's when the lamps come down and interrupt everything. Like they have to actually get through there.
Yeah. If you didn't say it, you didn't do it.
Right. We're not doing that.
In the book, she totally says it. Anyway, in the book, The Princess Bride, she totally says.
Yes. That plot point is really only relevant in the film.
Yeah.
Because in the book, it's not an issue of what she said. It was more of, well, you haven't had a chance to consummate yet, so I'm just gonna say it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Which is a different argument.
Yes. And I don't entirely like the other one. I'll buy it. You know, she was clearly coerced. She didn't agree to it. So, yeah, they're not married. The other one, that's a stretch.
Well, it was...
Again, coercion. There's coercion. So...
Coercion has always counted as a reason to invalidate a marriage.
So, anyway...
Right. So we're not. That's not an issue for this.
Yeah.
Focus on us to actually want to be married. It's all good.
Yes. Okay. And so, in the moment of the triumph of the wedding, you know, somebody looks up and just like paled faces all around as the lights just crumble and topple over. Like you know, like you have them look at one, and then they look at the other one. And it's worse.
Oh, okay. This is not something I was thinking was going to be a parallel, but I'm assuming you remember when the two towers came down in New York on September 11th?
What do you mean, like Barad-dûr?
No, September 11th.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Those towers.
Yes, I'm from New York, so yeah.
Yeah, so the whole point was one came down first and then the other.
Yeah.
And it was...
Well, you're right. I mean, in the world we live in now, there's absolutely no chance that doesn't evoke that in some way.
So I guess my question now is, do both lamps come down together, or do we have one and then the other? Because if you do them both at once, the loss happens once. If one comes down, you think, okay, but we still have the other one, and then it comes down too. So
sort of like how that happened, yeah. Yeah.
And of course, the reason I know that's how it feels is because that was everyone's reaction after September 11th.
Yeah.
Not mine. By the time I found out about it, they were both already down. But certainly enough people looked through that to make that up.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's kind of. It makes sense. You know, it's like a double emotional breakdown there. Yeah. I did not think of that parallel at all.
Well, as soon as we started toppling something really big, and
yeah,
there were two of them, and as soon as you said one then the other,
Now, I don't know why I can't remember this, but does Barad-dûr actually fall in the book? When the ring is destroyed, does it actually fall? I feel like it did, but for some reason, I'm like questioning it. Like, am I being polluted by the movie? Is that what's happening here?
Yeah, no, it did come down.
Okay. Thank you.
The reason why is because Sauron used the ring to make the foundations.
Yeah.
Very interesting because he didn't actually make the ring until Barad-dûr had already been under construction for about 100 years.
Well, I think think didn't he remake them? Oh no.
Yeah, there were some issues with that. Like the foundations of Barad-dûr were already there when he made the ring, but
yeah,
the
we
ring
hand
was
wave
used
it.
to make
It's
the
fine.
foundation.
It's cool.
Exactly. It's one of those. I'm sure it works out.
In some way, we can figure that out if we needed to. But that being the case,
mm-hmm.
I feel like it's because we're kind of gonna give a little bit of the motifs of. We're gonna see a little bit of the motifs of the pillars in Barad-dûr when we do finally see it. I feel like that falling should look similar structurally. Like the way that it happens should look similar.
Who's going to be most like punched in the gut when the lamps come down? Who's most hurt by this?
Well, the person to whom the lamps themselves are the biggest. I mean, Aule. There's no question, Aule.
Okay, and Aule's people, including Myron.
Including Myron, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're gonna evoke Barad-dûr later, like Myron got to stand there and watch his lamps come tumbling down because he's just as possessive of them as Melkor is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it should be the people who were involved in making them who feel the most.
I mean, obviously Manwë reacts to the destruction of the harmony that he's created because that's what he's building.
Right. And I think we should see in that moment that everyone did contribute to the lamps.
1 second. So, where were we? The lamps coming down.
Yes. And I think this is a good chance to show that it really was everybody who contributed to the lamps.
Yeah.
That they all feel their loss. So that Melkor's argument wasn't valid. Like, we did this, nobody else did. No, really, they all contributed. Because we've seen Nessa gathering light in her basket, and presumably everybody somehow chipped in for that. So
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
And where do we cut everything off for this episode?
That's the question. I mean, to me, the most dramatic way to cut it off is to see the Balrogs popping out in their Balrog form.
Okay. I feel like we should see that. We can't not show the Shadow Flame thing in this episode. We have to see it happen with the Fall of the Lamps.
Mm-hmm.
And that we have to see that they're still alive.
The first what?
So that they're still alive. Like they didn't somehow get destroyed in all of this.
Right. Okay. So then we go back to the frame.
Right.
And now how do we deal with this? How do we wrap this up? Okay, because first we were trying, like last episode, we were trying to teach hope. We were trying to teach faith to Gilrine, who really didn't get it. She complained that this wasn't real, that life doesn't work like that, and so we said, "You're right. It doesn't work like that."
I think the idea was for Elrond to try to somewhat gently say that this lesson was for her as much as for her son.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure what lesson it is that he wants. I'm not sure exactly what message he wants to give her. Like, I can't push it into like one little sentence.
Well, I think we need to tie it into the revelation that Estelle meets hope.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
I feel like Gilrine's a little deflated. Like, I feel like we can let kind of Estelle just be like, and kind of like leave the room and just like we just leave him in this state of like,
oh no,
Old Yeller died. I can't believe that just did that really just happen? Like, I feel like we can leave him there. He'll get over it. He's a little kid. He'll be fine. But again, we need to come back to Gilrine because she's the real issue here. And so, she kind of collapses a little bit, I think, at this point. because she's basically completely taken the wind out of her sails. And she's feeling this loss of something that she didn't even think was important 3 hours ago when he first started telling this story. And she says, you know, something to the effect of, like, what? Like, really, what's the point? Like, what are we even doing here? Like, you're right. This is it. Like, there's nothing. That's it. And he says something. Maybe he says something effective. You know, do you think it was? You know, was it by chance that you named him Hope?
Who gave him that name? Because she named him Aragorn, son of Aragorn.
Yes. But I think at some point, this is. I mean, granted, this is my belief. This isn't canon. I know, it's not shows the imagination. But what I think happened was that Elrond recommended that it was Elrond's recommendation that she give him another name,
right?
And that she named him Hope because she's the one who says, "I give hope to men. I keep none for myself."
Yeah.
So, okay. So, do we feel like that's an adequate close for episode 6?
Yes.
Okay.
Assuming that we've gotten through all the parts about Arathorn's death that we needed to go over.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly how many flashbacks we had in the last episode. But
we had 3. I don't.
Yeah.
I feel like the last one we could have saved for this one, but okay. So,
but did we get them all? Like, is it all done?
What if we open up? What if we open up with the flashback to the actual where he actually goes into battle and gets? Or no, you know what? I mean, we had him die. We showed him dead in the last one. I don't like. How do we go back from that?
We don't really. Yeah, I'd say the opening one was her saying goodbye to him as he goes off. Right.
No, well, that was the second one. That was the second one. The opening one was just seeing him among his people and being an awesome chieftain.
Right. Sorry. Yeah. So the first one, he's leader, and then the second one, she's saying goodbye to him as he goes off, and then the third one was
he's not coming back.
Yeah. I think what we needed after that was, did that get her and Aragorn into Rivendell?
Okay.
Because, like, that would be the thing to flash back to, would be her carrying her little 2-year-old son, walking into
Okay. What if we do? Because I don't feel comfortable doing the whole having him show up dead in the last episode when what we have is a fairly positive thing going on.
Well, it was supposed to contrast that. If she's so upset at why have this stupid happy ending,
I don't know how to
like, we need to know why she's upset.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Kind of bit.
Because what do we do though? Do we just have like a bit where
it was supposed
the arrival
to be
of Rivendell?
Mm-hmm. Oh, go ahead. Arrival in Rivendell.
I'm thinking maybe we open up. Maybe we open up with Gilrain alone in the wilderness, trying to make her way to Rivendell. We cut back to her. She's remembering this. She's thinking about it. So we cut to her in Rivendell. They go back into the lesson. We go through the whole story. We come back out. And then we have another flashback of her actually arriving in Rivendell. Mm-hmm. And Elrond, like, the only line is Elrond says to her, he's going to need a new name. To keep him safe, he's going to need a new name.
Mm-hmm.
And then
come back, and he says,
and he says, was it by chance that you named him Hope?
Yes, that would explain what's going on, because if we just give Elrond the one line, it doesn't. It came out of nowhere. No one knows.
Right. Yeah.
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 And that also is in a teaser that Estelle's not his real name.
Right.
And
yes,
that will be addressed eventually.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
All right. We like it?
I think yeah, I think we're good. I think that is the right note to end on.
Okay.